On September 12th, 2019, Bill Gates walked into the Late Show studio wearing a watch that cost $70, not $70,000. He sat across from Stephen Colbert, discussed saving millions of lives from malaria, and the entire time, there on his wrist was a Casio you could pick up at Walmart. This was not some publicity stunt. This is his actual collection. And when you add up everything Bill Gates owns on his wrist, the total comes to about $120. The cheapest watch collection any famous billionaire has ever assembled. But the real story is not just that he owns cheap watches. It is what each piece in his collection reveals about how the ultra-wealthy actually think about value. The centerpiece of Gates's collection is the Casio Duro MDV 106. Retail price sits between $50 and $70 depending on where you buy it. This watch has a stainless steel case, a unidirectional rotating bezel with 120 clicks, and 200 meters of water resistance, proper dive watch specs. The dial features a small Marlin logo that watch enthusiasts love. The movement inside is Japanese quartz. You set it once, change the battery every 3 years for $5, and it keeps ticking. Gates has worn this exact watch for over a decade. TED Talks, foundation events in Africa, interviews about vaccines, late night television. It is always there. Same black resin strap, same utilitarian face. The watch weighs almost nothing. Comfortable, reliable, boring in the best possible way. Watch enthusiasts online froze frames from his TV appearances just to confirm it. Someone posted a close-up to Reddit. The thread exploded. Hundreds of comments argued about whether a billionaire wearing a $70 watch was genius or insanity. Half the people could not believe it. The other half immediately ordered one. Sales of the Casio Duro spiked. Everyone wanted the Bill Gates watch. The thing about this watch is that it is not just cheap, it is legitimately good. The Duro punches way above its price point. Watch reviewers compare it favorably to divers that cost 10 times more. The Seiko SKX 007, which is worth $300, performs roughly the same. The Orient Komatsu, worth $250, is not different either. The Duro does everything those watches do for a fraction of the cost. Gates did not just buy the cheapest watch. He bought the best value in dive watches. That is an important distinction, and it sets the tone for his entire collection. The second watch in Gates's collection is even cheaper. A Casio MRW 200H. It retails for about $25. Sometimes you can find it on sale for $20. It has a black resin case, a date window at 3 o'clock, and a rotating bezel similar to the Duro, but simpler. No Marlin logo, no prestige. Just function. Gates wears this one when he wants something even more low-key than the Duro. Casual weekend events, walking around Seattle, basketball games. It's his everyday beater, the watch you wear when you don't want to think about what you're wearing. And at $25, if it breaks or gets lost, you just buy another one. No insurance, no stress, pure utility. The MRW 200H is basically a smaller, simpler version of the Duro. Same 100 meters of water resistance, though not dive rated. Same quartz reliability. Same resin strap that will last for years of daily wear. The watch is nearly indestructible. You could run it over with a car and it would probably still tick. This is where Gates's collection philosophy becomes clear. He does not own backups. He does not own special occasion pieces. He owns tools. The Duro is his dress watch. The MRW 200H is his casual watch. Both serve specific functions in his rotation. Both cost less than a decent dinner. And together, these two pieces make up the analog portion of his collection. But there is more. The third watch in Gates's collection is a Casio W214H digital chronograph. Price, $24. This thing looks like something a high school gym teacher would wear. Black plastic case, digital LCD display, 7 functions including a stopwatch, an alarm, and an LED backlight that glows green when you press the button. Digital Gates has been photographed wearing this at outdoor events and in casual settings. It's his most utilitarian piece, the watch equivalent of cargo shorts. 0 style points. Maximum function. You press a button, it lights up so you can read the time in the dark. You press another button, it starts timing something. That's it. No complications, no craftsmanship. Just a little computer on your wrist that tells you what time it is. At $24, this is the cheapest watch in Gates' collection. And honestly, for most people, this would be the most practical. You do not worry about scratching it. You do not worry about water damage. You wear it, it works, and when the battery dies, you spend $3 replacing it. The watch is basically disposable, except Gates has owned his for years. Because why replace something that works? Here's what's interesting about this piece. Gates could own a $50,000 digital watch. Richard Mille makes them. Hublot makes them. Luxury brands have been trying to crack the code on high-end digital timepieces for years. But Gates went the opposite direction. He owns the cheapest digital watch Casio makes. And it does everything those expensive ones do. It tells time. It sets alarms. It times things. The expensive versions just do it with more zeros on the price tag. So that is the core collection. 3 watches. The $70 Duro for dress. The $25 MRW 200H for casual. The $24 W204.H for digital utility. Total, $119. But Gates' collection history does not end there. There is a 4th piece that used to be in Gates' collection, the Microsoft Spot watch. Spot stood for Smart Personal Objects Technology. This was Microsoft's early attempt at a smartwatch, released in 2004, 11 years before the Apple Watch. The device ran on FM radio signals and could display weather, news, stock prices, and sports scores. It was manufactured by companies like Fossil, Suunto, and Tissot, running Microsoft's software platform. Gates wore these watches to promote the technology. He had to. It was his company's product. The watches retailed for around $200 when they launched. They were chunky, with low-resolution displays. The FM radio signal only worked in certain areas. The subscription service to receive data cost $60 a year. The Spot watch failed. Microsoft discontinued the service in 2008. The watches became useless bricks. Collectors now value them at maybe $200 as tech relics. But functionally, they are dead. Gates stopped wearing his after the platform died. This watch left his collection because it stopped working. The interesting thing about the Spot watch in Gates' collection history is that it shows he is willing to wear technology experiments. He is not precious about watches. He wore the Spot watches because they represented an idea, wearable computing, ambient information. The concept was right. The execution failed, and when it failed, the watch left his collection. No sentimentality, no keeping it for nostalgia. Tools that do not work do not belong in the collection, so the Spot watch is gone. But there is one more piece in Gates' collection history that matters. Back in the 1990s, Gates' collection included something expensive, relatively speaking. A TAG Heuer Professional 2000. This was Swiss-made with a stainless steel case, automatic movement, and a rotating bezel. The watch retailed for about $1,400 when Gates owned it. Adjusted for inflation, that is roughly $1,800 to $2,000 today. This was Gates' luxury watch, his one concession to Swiss horology. The TAG Heuer Professional 2000 was the entry-level luxury diver of the 1990s. It was not a Rolex Submariner at $5,000. It was not an Omega Seamaster at $3,000. But it was Swiss. It had automatic mechanical movement. It had some weight to it. For a billionaire, $1,400 is nothing, but it was at least a step up from Casio. Then Gates removed it from his collection permanently. At a conference in the Philippines, someone in the audience complimented the TAG Heuer. Gates asked them to guess what it cost. The person guessed around $600. Gates unclasped the watch from his wrist right there and handed it over. He said something about it keeping time just as well as anything else. The watch left his collection that day, given away, gone. After that incident, Gates never replaced it with another luxury piece. He went back to Casio, and he stayed there. His collection became purely budget. The Tag Heuer represented his brief flirtation with traditional luxury. When he gave it away, he was making a statement. The expensive watch was not any better at its core function. So why own it? His collection did not need a $1,400 piece. 3 Casios were enough. Let's compare Gates' collection to other tech billionaires. Steve Jobs had a watch collection that included a Seiko Chariot. That's a quartz watch from the 1980s with a clean, minimalist design. Jobs wore it during the original Macintosh era. The watch retailed for about $180 back then. Jobs appreciated its simplicity and its Bauhaus-inspired aesthetics. His collection wasn't expensive, but it cost more than Gates's. Mark Zuckerberg owned 0 watches for 2 decades. His collection was literally empty. Then, in 2024, everything changed. His collection now includes a Patek Philippe 5236P worth $141,000, a De Bethune DB25 Stradivarius worth $260,000, a Greubel Forsey handmade 1 worth over $900,000. His collection exploded from 0 to over $1.5 million in less than a year. That's 12,605 times more expensive than Gates's collection. Jeff Bezos owns a collection that includes a Ulysses Nardin dual time worth around $10,000 to $15,000. That's 83 to 125 times more expensive than Gates's collection. Elon Musk's collection includes a Richard Mille REM 029 worth over $150,000. That's 1,260 times more expensive than Gates's collection. Even Warren Buffett, famous for his frugality, owns a Rolex day date in 18-karat gold worth around $35,000 to $40,000. That's 294 to 336 times more expensive than Gates's collection. Buffett drives a modest car. He lives in the same house he bought in 1958. He eats breakfast at McDonald's, but his watch collection is still 300 times more expensive than Gates's. Among famous tech billionaires, Gates's collection is the cheapest, not by a little, by orders of magnitude. His entire collection costs less than a single battery replacement on some of these watches. That makes his collection truly anomalous. In 2015, Gates attended a state dinner at the White House. President Obama was hosting Chinese President Xi Jinping. The event was formal, black tie. The most powerful people in the world gathered in one room. Business leaders, politicians, diplomats, everyone dressed in their finest. Gates showed up wearing his Casio MRW 200H, the $25 watch. Someone photographed him at the dinner. You can see him in his tuxedo, perfectly tailored, talking to other guests. And there on his wrist is the resin Casio. In a room full of Patek Philippe's and Rolex day dates, Gates wore a watch that cost less than the appetizer being served, Casio. This is real power, because everyone in that room knew who Bill Gates was, his net worth, his achievements, his influence. The cheap watch was not a liability. It was a statement. I do not need to prove anything to anyone here. My status is so secure that I can wear whatever I want. Nobody at that dinner thought less of Gates for wearing a Casio. If anything, people probably respected it, because the watch communicated something a Rolex could not. Authenticity, groundedness, a refusal to play status games. In a room full of people competing for attention and respect, Gates opted out entirely. His collection made that possible. The White House dinner story reveals the real function of Gates's collection. It is not about saving money. The guy spends millions on art and real estate. He could buy a $100,000 watch and not notice the expense. His collection is cheap because being cheap serves a purpose. It signals that he's beyond caring about signals. It makes him relatable. It protects him from criticism. And it reinforces his personal brand as a practical, grounded engineer who cares about function over flash. Here's what Gates's collection actually tells us. At his level of wealth, time is the only resource that matters. Money is effectively infinite. Opportunities are everywhere. But time? You cannot buy more time. You cannot manufacture it. You get 24 hours a day like everyone else. And that is it. His collection reflects this reality. The Casio Duro never needs winding. It never needs service. It never breaks. You strap it on and forget about it. The watch does not demand attention. It does not require thought. It just works. That frees up mental space for things that actually matter. Foundation work, reading, thinking. His collection minimizes friction in his daily life. Compare that to owning a mechanical Patek Philippe. You have to wind it if you do not wear it. You have to service it every 5 years at a cost of thousands of dollars. You have to insure it. You worry about it getting stolen. You have to store it safely. A luxury watch demands attention. Gates's collection demands nothing. His watches are tools that stay out of the way. And for someone who values time above everything, that makes perfect sense. His collection also reveals his ultimate investment strategy. He does not invest in depreciating assets. Cars depreciate. Watches depreciate unless they are rare collectibles. But time invested in solving malaria compounds forever. Time invested in education creates exponential returns. Gates invests his time, not his money, and his collection reflects that. The watches are cheap because they do not matter. What matters is what he does with the time they measure. Bill Gates owns the cheapest watch collection in billionaire history. 3 Casios. Total value, $119. The Duro for dress, $70. The MRW 200H for casual, $25. The W214H for digital, $24. While other billionaires collect Pateks worth millions, Gates straps on his Casio and gets to work. His collection is not about being cheap. It is about being free. Free from status games. Free from other people's expectations. Free from wasting time on things that do not matter. The cheap watches are the ultimate flex because they prove he does not need to flex. His collection is optimized for pure function, and in a world obsessed with luxury and status, that makes it the most luxurious collection of all. What does your watch say about you? Maybe that is the wrong question. Maybe the right question is whether you are free enough to stop caring what your watch says about you. Gates figured that out 15 years ago, and his collection proves it every single day. Bill Gates optimized his life around time. Every watch, every decision, every dollar filtered through one question: does this protect my time? But what happens when time runs out? Gates could buy anything except more years. And that is the reality Steve Jobs faced when he knew his years were numbered. Click the video on screen to find out. Jobs spent his life building the future. In his final days, he had something to say about it. Something that had nothing to do with Apple, nothing to do with the iPhone, nothing to do with success as the world defines it. This is what he left behind.